Hey everyone, today I'm going to go over the Prot rotation in Cataclysm. I've sourced this information from the old main Tankadon forums, which was the main theory crafting hub for Prot in OG Cata. These sims were based on final patch versions of abilities, but they also used Dragon Soul gear for them, which could potentially change things. If things change significantly based on new sims in Cataclysm, I'll update this video. But the only thing that's likely to change at all is the priority order of Judgment versus Avenger's Shield, which is a pretty minor difference. Check for a pinned comment for updates. If you want to know more about Prot Pally spell changes in Cata, check out my Prot Paladin spell changes in Cataclysm Classic video. The Cata Prot Pally rotation is called the 939 rotation as a callback to the 969 rotation from Wrath. The abilities that are part of the 3 in this are Crusader Strike and Hammer of the Righteous. These share a 3-second cooldown, and each generate 1 charge of Holy Power when used. Holy Power is a new resource Pallies have that is essentially just combo points, but they only stack to 3, and they stack on the Pally, not the target. Crusader Strike is your single target 3 ability, and Hammer of the Righteous is your AoE 3 ability. Shield of Righteousness, Inquisition, and Word of Glory are the 3 Holy Power spenders. You'll typically only use these at 3 Holy Power, so when I mentioned them in rotations coming up, a 3 Holy Power cast of the ability is implied. For the 9s, you've got Shield of the Righteous, Inquisition, Avenger's Shield, Judgment, Hammer of Wrath, Consecration, Holy Wrath, and Word of Glory. These abilities have a wide variety of cooldowns, and the 9 and 939 doesn't correspond to them at all, it's just a holdover from the Wrath rotation name. Essentially, in the context of Cata, 9 just means any ability that isn't Crusader Strike or Hammer of the Righteous. There are 2 procs to be aware of for the 9s. One is called Grand Crusader that will refresh the cooldown of Avenger's Shield and cause it to generate a charge of Holy Power. There's also a proc called Sacred Duty that will make your next Shield of the Righteous a guaranteed crit. Both of these procs can affect the priority of these abilities. For the opener, you'll generally use Divine Plea to get 3 Holy Power, Inquisition, immediately cast Exorcism, and as you're running in, you'll cast Judgment and Avenger's Shield. Judgment will be first if you have the improved range. Avenger's Shield will be first if you don't. It shouldn't be necessary to use Avenging Wrath during the Exo Judge Avenger's Shield window for Snap Threat, and can instead be saved for when you're actually in melee range with 100% Vengeance or close to it. For single target, the basic 939 rotation priority that Thek from main Tankadon advises is Shield of the Righteous, Crusader Strike, Avenger's Shield with Grand Crusader proc, Judgment, Avenger's Shield without proc, Consecration, Holy Wrath. However, he has a note saying that the buff to Judgment and the Dragon Soul patch elevated Judgment's priority, but this was offset by the Dragon Soul weapon Soul Drinker because the effect of this weapon could only proc from Avenger's Shield, but not Judgment. Based on this statement, I'm inferring that in earlier phases of Cataclysm, when Soul Drinker or a similar proc weapon isn't available, that Judgment will take priority over Avenger's Shield, even with a Grand Crusader proc. With this in mind, the rotation would then become Shield of the Righteous, Crusader Strike, Judgment, Avenger's Shield, Hammer of Wrath, Consecration, Holy Wrath. He actually advises this order for a sub 20% rotation anyway. Consecration and Holy Wrath contribute considerably less damage than the rest of the rotation, so their inclusion is dependent on them not causing mana issues. This is not a static rotation like 969 due to procs, misses, dodges, and parries. It'll typically play out like this: CS, filler, CS, filler, CS, Shield of the Righteous. There's also a variation of the 939 single target rotation that can squeak out a little bit more damage by weaving in Inquisition. Call it the I-939 rotation just because I couldn't find it named anywhere else. This rotation is pretty much the same, except we now only use Shield of the Righteous if Sacred Duty or Inquisition are active, and Inquisition is our second priority if the Shield of the Righteous conditions aren't met. The rest of the rotation stays the same. This requires a little more attention, so it may or may not be worth it for the small DPS gain, depending on the player. For the AoE 939, our priorities will shift quite a bit. Our priority order is Inquisition, Hammer of the Righteous, Avenger's Shield, Consecration, Holy Wrath, Judgment. There's a small DPS gain to be had by refreshing Inquisition only when it's about to fall off, which generally will be after every 4th Hammer of the Righteous. This means you will be wasting some Holy Power by generating it while you're already at 3 charges, but it's an overall damage gain. Judgment can go higher in the queue if its low priority is causing you to have mana issues. Overall, the rotation is pretty easy and not a huge adjustment from the 969 rotation in Wrath. Just practice it on target dummies for a bit and you'll have it down in no time. If you want to support me, you can help me out by liking, commenting, and subscribing. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.